Welcome back to Weekend Prime Time. Congress returns tomorrow, and they're walking into a stacked agenda. In just 2 days, Tennessee's 7th Congressional District will hold its special election, a race that could either pad or shrink the GOP's already thin House majority. On top of that, lawmakers only have 12 legislative days left on the calendar to accomplish anything meaningful. Do you think this administration is getting back in alignment with what the American public wants on this issue? Not at all. Look at who's running the administration: Donald Trump, the same guy who keeps insisting the economy is the greatest it's ever been. He repeats it constantly. He claims rising prices are basically a Democratic invention. And from relatives I talk to up north and down south, all I hear are complaints. Electric bills climbing like crazy. And now that winter's coming, people are already stressed. Some are even pointing fingers at these new AI data centers. Alright, you need to hear this, because what just happened in court is about to completely change how you think about Trump's legal situation. I'm not exaggerating. This might be the most damaging development we've seen in any of these cases. We're talking hidden recordings, folks. Secret audio tapes that were locked away. Trump's own voice captured saying things that blow up every defense he has pushed for years. Judges are now releasing these recordings in court for everyone to hear with their own ears. But before we go deeper, let's be real for a second. You can't trust headlines anymore. That's exactly why we built Pump Politics, to give you actual stories, real context, and zero corporate packaging. If you want to stay ahead of the noise, join our free newsletter. We send the news straight to your inbox daily. Just hit the link in the description. And if you just want to support our work, join us and be part of a community that actually cares about truth. Alright, back to the video. Look, I don't think Democrats are having some sort of civil war with Chuck Schumer. There's disagreement, sure. There's a push for generational change. And honestly, I don't care about age as a number. If you're 80 and you're a fighter, that's what Democrats want. If you're 25 and acting like a corporate Democrat, that's not where the party is right now. They want fighters willing to stand up. Me? No. I think Zoran Mandani is absolutely one of the leaders on that front. And there are others in that group who are talking seriously about affordability, and younger voters actually trust them because they're in their 30s too. They get what people are dealing with. This isn't speculation, folks. This isn't some anonymous source whispering about what might have happened behind closed doors. This is Trump on tape, in his own voice, admitting to things he's spent years denying ever happened. And now prosecutors have these recordings locked into evidence, where his lawyers can't spin them out of existence no matter how many motions they file. Seriously, are you kidding me? He basically recorded himself wrecking his own defense. Judges are pressing play in courtrooms nationwide so juries can hear exactly what he said when he thought no one outside the room ever would. And yeah, we've all heard about recordings in different Trump stories over the years. Tapes, secret audio, you name it. But what's happening right now is different. These recordings aren't circulating in the media waiting to be dismissed as fake news. They're officially entered into evidence in real criminal cases with real consequences. Judges signed off on letting juries hear them after reviewing authentication. Defense objections? Overruled under normal evidentiary rules. The audio is in the official court record, and there is nothing Trump's legal team can do to erase it, not with motions, not with appeals. The biggest bombshell we're talking about is the Bedminster recording from July 2021, where Trump is literally holding what he describes as a highly confidential Pentagon war plan about Iran. And on the recording, you can hear him acknowledge he didn't declassify it. His own voice saying it. admitting that he knew the document was still classified while he waved it around in front of people without clearance to even be near that material. This is insane. It's absolutely insane because for months, actually years, Trump has told anyone who'd listen that he declassified everything before leaving office. That's been his entire defense. He even claimed he could declassify documents just by thinking about it. Remember that? The whole mental declassification nonsense? Well, this tape proves he knew none of that was true because he literally says the opposite on the recording. Legal analysts have called this a smoking gun, and yeah, that phrase gets tossed around too much, but here it actually fits. Because this is Trump admitting the very thing he's publicly denied for years. His own words torpedoing his own defense. Prosecutors even cited this tape directly in the indictment as proof of his knowledge and intent to keep classified materials. They're saying this eliminates any reasonable doubt he knew exactly what he was doing. And we know that because he said so himself. But it gets worse. Because the Bedminster recording isn't the only one causing legal chaos for him. In the New York hush money case, jurors heard secret audio of Trump talking to Michael Cohen about payoffs, shell companies, and structuring payments to silence people before the 2016 election. The judge allowed that recording in because it directly backed up financial documents and witness testimony. So now you've got multiple cases in different states where Trump's own recorded voice is being used against him. And here's why this is such a disaster for his lawyers. Juries trust what they can hear with their own ears more than almost any other type of evidence. Documents can be argued over. Memories can be challenged. Media quotes can be dismissed as distortions. But a jury hearing the defendant's actual voice contradicting his own defense? That changes everything. It wipes out reasonable doubt almost instantly. So let me walk you through exactly what we know about these tapes and why they're creating a massive legal nightmare Trump's attorneys can't fix. Because once you understand what's actually on these recordings and how courts authenticated them, you realize how much legal danger he's really in. And I'm not talking political danger or media spin or polling dips. I mean real criminal liability where the defendant's own voice becomes the prosecution's star witness and there's nothing he can do about it. Let's start with the Bedminster tape. Prosecutors consider this the crown jewel of the classified documents case for good reason. The recording was made in July 2021 at Trump's New Jersey Golf Club during a meeting that was being recorded. On it, Trump discusses what he says is a Pentagon attack plan for Iran that he kept after leaving office. And here's the part that destroys his defense: he acknowledges the document is highly confidential, and he admits he didn't declassify it. His own words. Think about that. His entire defense was built on the idea that he declassified everything before leaving office. He repeated that endlessly. His supporters repeated it. His lawyers tried using it in court filings. But here, on tape, he acknowledges he didn't declassify the document he was holding. He knew it was still classified and still kept it anyway while showing it to people without clearance. CNN obtained the audio, it's been played publicly, and analysts across the board say it's catastrophic for his defense. This is the very definition of a smoking gun. Direct proof that he knew the documents were classified, the key fact prosecutors must prove. Now, why do judges keep allowing these tapes into evidence despite repeated defense objections? Because in criminal cases, relevant evidence is admissible. And a recording of the defendant acknowledging the core fact in question is about as relevant as it gets. Trump's lawyers tried to argue the recordings weren't relevant, were too prejudicial, or were protected by privilege. Judges rejected all of it using standard evidentiary rules. And here's where things could get even worse: the crime-fraud exception. Normally, lawyer-client conversations are protected, but not when they are used to plan or cover up crimes. courts have already used this exception in Trump-related proceedings. That means more recordings, even private ones with lawyers, could become accessible. So the universe of damaging audio might actually be bigger than we know. Switching gears, the New York hush money case shows how recordings dramatically strengthen prosecution cases. Jurors heard Trump and Cohen discussing how to silence people before the 2016 election. The tape was allowed because it backed up documents and testimony about falsified business records. When you have the defendant describing the exact scheme prosecutors allege in his own voice, it's incredibly powerful. And this is why recordings are uniquely destructive in criminal law. Documents can be misinterpreted. Witnesses can be attacked. But the defendant's own recorded voice cuts through everything. You can't claim media distortion or blame your staff. It's your voice saying what you said. Now, here's something important. Yes, fake AI-generated recordings of Trump are circulating online. Fact-checkers already exposed several as artificial creations. But these fakes do not change the legal reality of the actual recordings. The ones authenticated through proper forensic procedures and admitted in court. The Bedminster tape and the Cohen tape are real. They've been authenticated. Judges reviewed them. Juries heard them. Social media chaos doesn't matter in a courtroom. Evidence has to be authenticated before it's allowed in, and these recordings cleared that bar. So let's break this down into the core points you need to understand. Point 1. The Bedminster recording is devastating and impossible for Trump's legal team to spin. It contradicts his entire defense. Point 2. His lawyers tried to suppress these tapes and failed repeatedly. Judges ruled them admissible under standard rules. Point 3. The crime fraud exception could expose even more recordings, including conversations normally protected by privilege. Point 4. The Cohen recording in the New York case directly corroborates financial records and witness testimony, strengthening the prosecution's case dramatically. Point 5. Fake AI audio online doesn't matter in court. The recordings being used are authenticated, verified evidence, not social media clips. Point 6. These tapes are now locked into the court record. There's no realistic legal mechanism to get rid of them. Appeals courts aren't going to overturn judges who admitted clearly relevant, authenticated evidence. Bottom line. Trump is now facing multiple cases where his own recorded voice is the prosecution's strongest evidence. You can spin TV interviews. You can blame the media. You can attack witnesses. But you can't deny your own voice on tape, and these recordings undermine his defenses across multiple jurisdictions. This isn't media spin. This isn't political warfare. This is authentic, legally admitted evidence. When he says he did nothing wrong, there's audio proving otherwise. When his lawyers argue he didn't know documents were classified, there's audio proving he did. That's the unique power of recordings, they slice through all the noise. And what Trump said on these tapes is extremely damaging to his legal defense across the board. Alright, that's where we'll leave it for now. This recordings issue is one of the most important, yet consistently underreported elements of Trump's legal exposure. The media gets pulled into daily drama, but these tapes are sitting quietly in court files waiting to be played for juries. And once a jury hears the defendant admitting the very thing he denied for years, everything changes. Make sure you're subscribed, we're going to keep tracking these cases closely over the next few weeks and months. A lot more is coming, and you'll want to understand what's happening in courtrooms versus what the spin machines are pushing.